Yeah.
I don't know if being at park's considered a day off. I think it's considered a sentence.
It was, it was a lot
It
of
was
work.
bad. We sent her to parks for 2 days.
Yeah, you naughty. Get down I-95. Yeah, no, it was a fun day down there. Excuse me, for sure. But glad to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to have you back. We were talking a little bit off camera about Torpedo Anna, and you were saying, you know, the two different sides of the coins to what was a win but a disappointing performance given what we've come to expect from her.
Yeah, and Kenny McPeak, I talked to him prior to the race, and he's expressed some concern that this was the first time that she ever had to ship in and run over a racetrack, and she only did so from Saratoga the night before. And two, parks historically can be a little bit of a tricky surface. It can be deep, it can be loose and tiring. And I think we saw that with her, especially with not displaying her usual acceleration through the lane, taking a while to switch leads. She just wasn't getting a hold of it as she should, but she has put in a lengthy campaign too.
No, she has, and she's danced a lot of dances. And listen, one of the things I like about Kenny is he runs his horses, but in other situations, sometimes it can take a bit of a toll as she has been so good. And, you don't want to talk about her so negatively because she did win.
Yeah.
And I was really happy for Mark that his horse ran so well in there. I've always liked Gunsong. It's a very nice horse. I remember talking to Mark about her when she broke her maiden first time out, and he was saying to me, I can't wait to get her going long.
Yeah.
Because I really think now trainers always think their horses want to go long, but in this particular case, Mark was very right.
Does.
Yeah, and she ran well. So I don't want, we'll see what happens going to the Breeders' Cup. And I rarely, as you know, develop affinities for these horses that everybody likes, but I do really like her because she is a horse that's won her races without getting good trips.
Yeah, she's overcome adversity many, many times. And like Brian even said to me, he said, look, I nearly messed it up. And Kenny was right. He said Gunsong is the horse that I need to beat. And he was very right about that.
That's for sure.
He told Brian to try to get the jump on her, but then that didn't work out. Johnny got the jump on him, and then, Flavia Pratt with Tarifa put him in a bit of a jackpot, turning for home. She was still able to get the job done, but just not quite in the fashion that we've come accustomed to.
If Tarifa had more horse, she wouldn't have won.
Correct.
And I think once Flavian realized I don't have the horse to keep
like,
up
okay,
with her,
fine.
I don't need to try to keep screw her over when I'm not good enough to hold up with her. Whereas if Tarifa had the horse, he's race riding. He would have kept her in that jackpot, and she wouldn't have won the race.
Yep.
But Tarifa she's another horse that looked like she was good early in the year that never really developed.
I was having a conversation with a fan on the rail, and he said, Maggie, what do you think of Torpedo Anna? She's all washy. And I'm like, that's how she always is. He's like, I really like Tarifa. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like her on form. Maybe she is going to get back to what she showed. And I was like, but now I've seen her, she just looks like one of those horses that she peaked, and that's what we're going to see from her. She didn't really go on.
Well, at the risk of annoying somebody who I respect and like, and Brad Cox, Wet Paint. There was another one. You look at Impel. There have been a number of these horses that looked really good for Brad early in the year that really never really went on with the last couple of years. Now, Brad's obviously, there's Idiomatic as well, who's done well with it.
Girl.
Yeah, I don't think that Brad, but these are horses for Brad that have not moved forward.
Those types of horses, for whatever reason, he knows how to get those younger horses ready to peak at those right times to kind of come into, whether it be Kentucky Oaks or Kentucky Derby season, and then they just don't really go on from there.
Maybe he's going to overachieve earlier when the getting's good, and maybe as it gets tougher, they just don't really move forward. Anyway, we've got 9 to talk about today. We do have not a pick 6 carryover, and I still think it had to be like a quick pick or somebody's numbers yesterday. You weren't here because
what happened?
Well,
I watched some of the races.
I think the pick 5 paid 5 times or something.
Wow.
The pick was $51,000. The parlay was $250,000, and also, there were 12 horses the last race. Not only was the one ticket alive, but that person was alive, had the one conso for 9 of the other 11 horses if he lost.
Oh my God.
So the winner was guaranteed $17,000 at least. And I've been around a long time. This probably happened before, but it feels like it had to be a very small ticket that got there. It could have been somebody's backup somewhere, but there were some very hard results to get together. So we don't have a carryover, but we do have some New York bred stakes. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code MATCH200 and we'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Check out the track stats when you get over there as well. We also have a 20% exacta bonus, which I am opting into right now. Did that while I was talking pretty
literally
easily.
is.
And got that taken care of. I'm hoping to have a winner today. It's been a while. I think my last winner was somewhere around the pick 5 I hit last week. And I'm doing my best job of blowing that money back as quickly as I can. What else do we have? We have a day at the races. It's 1 to 4:48 on FS2. So we're not showing the last race. It's 1 to 5 on there's
Valley
we're on a 5
SoCal.
somewhere else. Yeah. Anyway, race number 1. We'll take a look at With the Angels. I don't know if you're trying to beat her, Maggie.
Nope.
I am not trying to beat this horse. I don't know what to say. I thought she was super impressive. She
Yeah.
looks like the controlling speed.
Yeah.
I don't see why I'm supposed to try to beat this horse.
Yep, pretty much.
That's it? We're done?
And like,
Good night.
Yep, moving on. And okay, you know, I feel like we've all made that statement that, look, Linda Rice, usually her horses need a race. This didn't with the Angels. She definitely looked like she was ready to go.
She was bet like she was ready to
worked
go.
like she was ready to go, and she was bet. And I just think she's very good. I loved her pedigree too. I remember Sister Margaret, my good friend Nick Essler trained her. She's an Omaha Beach, which
turf sprinter.
no, you're thinking of
Somebody
No,
else.
she didn't have a very long career.
Okay.
It was only like 5-6 starts.
I remember,
think
and
she
I remember
won-
Nick trained her. Now you
Yeah.
say it.
And the Omaha Beaches, I'm still waiting for them to do more as older horses, but they are very precocious types. They win as 2-year-olds, and so.
And Valtellina, I know as we go to her, she did win at 7 furlongs
Right.
first time out, and she got it done, and she beat a heavily favored Chad Brown horse
Mm-hmm.
that day. But she's got to get a lot better, and I'm just not convinced the first timer like her wasn't sort of ready to go first time, and I'm going to be surprised if she takes the necessary step forward, though she did run professionally to win.
I just think that too, she's going to have to play with the Angels game. She's going to have to
Yep.
run down a horse that has shown that she's quite brilliant on the speed. It's not like she was all out to win that first race with the Angels. She did it pretty easily. And, you know, Valtellina is a horse that looks like 7 furlongs and more. So if there's somebody to pressure with the Angels,
Who?
maybe that's the problem. There
Who?
isn't anybody else.
There's nobody on paper that's supposed to be able to run with her. We'll see what happens in the Joseph Jimma to start today's card, race number 2. I thought this was an interesting race, and for me,
I struggled.
I want to bet against Fade to Gray.
Right.
I don't
That
know
was-
that she'll be favored, but we'll take a look at her win.
That was the one notion I got, is that I don't necessarily want Fade to Gray because this was just such a walk in the park against, I just think a field that you kind of have to call into question how good they were.
Save Time is a Chad Brown Juddmonte horse that's been bet over and over again, has just failed one time after another, finally centered the turf.
Oh, we forgot the
And
rival.
it was also a big inside speed track,
Yeah.
a gold rail that day. So she took advantage of every bit of the racetrack and the race, and I don't want anywhere in there. And the other thing is, are we sure she's going to clear Smoking Hot Kitty? Isn't Kendrick
Well,
supposed to at least
exactly.
make her run a little bit
Exactly.
to get the lead from her?
That's the way I saw it. With that inside post position, we've seen Kendrick be aggressive with her. And last time when she, granted, against better horses, although at Maggie's Palace, we'll see, whatever, in the Johnstone Mile, she was beaten to the lead. And we saw her in that kind of chase mode. She hit the lead a bit early. And I just think that they have recognized that when this filly, and not that she absolutely needs it, I just think from that position, she has to at least come out running.
I agree, and if the other horse gets the lead from her, maybe she's going a little bit
She
too
could be
fast in
naturally
this race.
faster, too.
And I don't disagree with that. I know the pace projector has a 6 in front. I kind of want to see it to believe it. Now the closers in the race are Sidonia and I'm Buzzy, and I know I'm Buzzy. All my smart friends like I'm Buzzy, and they may be right. But the reality of Sidonia is, and she's a little tricky. We'll look at her race 2 back, because she really didn't run well last time, because she was in that race where she wasn't bothered at the start, where there was the incident at the start.
But she was acting up in the gate.
Okay, so
She's the one who kind of actually could be at fault.
instigated everything.
Exactly.
And I wonder if a one-turn race might just prove a little bit better for her than these 2-turn races. There's this feeling that these sort of plodding type horses are better around 2 turns. I don't think that's the case in a lot of races, and she probably gets at least a little bit more of an honest pace here to close into.
Well, exactly. On paper, you never know around here if that'll happen, but
It'll be
that's
faster than the paces she's been running against.
correct. And last time, it was weird. It was like she was sent forward from the outside and then dropped all the way back to last on the backside, and then looked as though she was going to be eased, and suddenly just jumped into the race at like the 8th pole and was able to get up for 3rd. And by that time, America's Val, who was right on top of the lead and wasn't another one that wasn't affected by that really messy start, just had the jump on her. So I don't even hate her last race, to be honest.
Well, in America's Vow, forgetting about all the nonsense that happened in the race, actually ran a good race. So it's not as though she ran a 73 Beyer and got lucky because of the incidents that happened at the start.
She
So
ran.
I agree. And listen, I do think I'm Buzzy's a little interesting. She was a
we
bit
both
against the
have her
track last time.
Right.
And last time, and 2 back, she ran well when she was against the track. My problem is that I feel like if a closer wins this race, I know she's a much shorter price, but I just think it's much more likely to be Sidonia. But maybe the price differential makes up for that.
True. Yeah, I could see that.
We'll see what
And don't you think that, I mean, Spring Magic, doesn't she have to go too?
Well, we'll see how aggressive Jose Lezcano is. He's not the most aggressive of riders, and she's sort of a tertiary speed. Maybe she goes outside fade to gray, but isn't, I guess, looking at the pace projector, she is right outside of the 2, and it just depends how aggressive they are. It's hard to see Kendrick not coming out running from the inside. Maybe the 6 outruns her, but she's going to have to run to outrun her, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, race number 3. The Bertram Bongard going 7 furlongs. This one's a lot more competitive, I think, than the one we looked at last time. And we'll start with Manhattan Twist, actually, the Todd Pletcher horse, who I'm guessing will be favored off the 70 Fig. 2 horses have run back out of this race, Maggie, and I'm sure you looked this up. The 4th horse ran 16 Beyer points worse, and the 6th ran 9 Beyer points worse. And I'm starting to wonder how good a race this really was.
I agree. Yeah, it just didn't feel that strong. And I know this was a horse that, kind of speed popped them, and he was all out to do it. I mean, Jose Ortiz is all over him. So I agree with you. I don't know how good he is. And for me, I just kind of, and I need to get it with Acacia because I do feel as though notes and what these horses look like first time out relative to second is paramount. I don't have any notes on Sacrosanct or Manhattan Twist, as they are likely to be the 2 favorites in here.
We
But
can show Sacrosanct while you're talking about
I
it.
just felt as though, kind of watching the replays, that there was an opportunity for Sacrosanct to get a little better, though I still think he was one that was really hard ridden for this victory by Manny. He was niggled at, but I just thought maybe, mentally, physically, he benefited from this start.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Of the 2, I prefer him. I know,
Even though I have him
know he
backwards.
ran a little bit slower than the other one, but I kind of prefer him as well. I thought the race might overall be a little bit better. Manhattan Twist. Now, you're taking Pay the Juice, who won an off-the-turf race. I am extremely suspect of him. The second horse came back and ran 12 Beyer points worse.
I just like this horse. It all boiled down to I wasn't enthralled
You're
with
just in love
Manhattan
with the Omaha
Twist.
Beaches today. That's all about.
I
Omaha
totally
Beach
am.
for
I
you.
didn't even realize that. But
I just
and
did.
at the end of the day, you look at this horse's pedigree, and it's actually more dirt.
I agree with that.
And he's a horse that is really big, really mature. Is still, when he won the off the turf race, didn't look 100% fit. And I just feel like he's that typical Shug McGay horse that is going to gradually get better with each race.
All right, listen, I'm not going to knock him. The horse I picked is obviously a little bit dubious here.
Who'd you
You've
go to?
completely thrown him out. Smile and Say Cheese.
I know.
I thought his
I
first
don't
race
trust
was
him.
good. I know it was on a wet track. Considering how much went wrong last time, he didn't really even run that badly.
But he's done it twice.
Okay, fair. He is lugged out, but he is coming right back and running, and he's picking up IRAD.
I don't think there's, and maybe he won't do it because it's Aqueduct and whatever, but it's a different racetrack. It feels more mental than physical.
Oh, I
in
agree.
watching-
Well, he's coming right back, so it's obviously not physical.
Exactly. So it's just.
I thought if he can run back to his first race that he could win this
sure.
race,
Yeah.
and I thought his price would be fair, being that he ran as he did last time out. And I don't love any of these horses that we've seen so far that are probably going to take more money.
Right.
Race number 4, and we'll break after 5. Race number 4, I'll start by showing Jansen, then I'll get to the horse that you have on top, who I agree is kind of the horse to beat, but I have some reservations. The problem with Jansen, and this is 2 back in the dirt, and obviously Dylan Ferrara is about as big a rider upgrade as you can possibly get in racing. The problem is he just doesn't win. He's just had so many chances, Maggie, and he just seems to be a horse that wants to run second.
And sometimes I feel like they've blown chances to win races. Like, why did we go back to the turf last time? I mean,
Yeah, I wasn't sure why he went back to the turf last time either.
and really, he just has that one race that we just saw that sticks out.
I agree, and it's hard to believe that number is going to really hold up over time, though they did beat the 3rd horse by a pole.
And 2J2A came back and won and
Must have won
improved a little
won
bit.
Finger Lakes. Did he win?
Yeah.
He must have won
I
a
think
Finger
it was
Lakes.
Lakes. But he got a 68.
Okay.
Like, yes, Jansen scares me, but it doesn't scare me that much. As you pointed out, 9 starts in 4 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. We'll show the replay of your horse's last race back in March. My worry with this horse, Maggie, is the distance. Coming back in a mile for a horse that couldn't finish last time. That was my concern.
And that is a valid and logical concern. I just thought that he's a horse that, watching his 2 starts at least, he struggled to find his stride quick enough.
I feel like we bet him last time. I feel
We
like
did.
I bet him last
We
time.
picked
Yeah,
him, or I at least picked him.
Yeah, I feel like I did too.
And I don't necessarily love that race either.
That's the problem. I agree he's the sexy horse in this race, but I wonder about coming back in a mile off the layoff.
I actually think that he is a horse that would prefer going longer. It's just the layoff that's a little bit concerning, because I thought he got out sprinted early on in that race, and then he couldn't. Then he made this kind of sustained middle move, got to the lead, and just didn't have anything left. And obviously, maybe something happened in that race, hence the layoff. Now they come back, they protect him, and don't
Do
run him
horses
to the
ever
10.
win when they use the waiver?
No, I feel like they are just probably using the
Never
race.
seem to win when
I
they
know.
use the waiver.
I know. But like you said, he's a horse that I liked last time, and I'm not quite ready to give up on him.
No, I'm not either. And I absolutely think he could win. I'd consider putting him on top. And I'm not proud of the horse that I put on top, Big Ego, because obviously his last race was a joke. It just feels
Horrible.
like I've seen this song and dance from Linda before. I've seen
And
these
he's the
mediocre
horses.
maidens come back. They run like crap, and then she brings them back, and they just are back to the horse they were kind of supposed to be. And if he's anywhere near the horse he was prior to that, he's going to win this race, in my opinion.
He is the horse with, besides his last race, the most concrete form, right? The problem, though, is that, yes, get a job, wire the field, was heavily favored that day, and was with the track. Big Ego was kind of with the track, too. It was more of a speedy type
Oh,
of
he was
racetrack.
terrible. No. There's no
Right.
excuse for his last race. It was
Race, but
pathetic. He was.
you're right.
He couldn't
Linda
keep
does
up on the
this
backstretch.
constantly.
No, I agree. I've just seen these Linda horses come back and win. I have no argument. If somebody says to me, I would never bet a nickel on that horse, especially as the morning line favorite, I am not going to argue with you. You probably are right, but I just see these horses win, and Jansen never wins, and I don't trust 3 at distance. And who else am I going to go to?
I had a
David's
little
going to
bit of
keep going
love
back to
for-
Stanley Ruff, and I'm sorry, David, you can have that horse. I don't get it all. And
He does get Lasix for the first time. I'll give him that.
and Rick Dutro's
But-
barn has gotten hot lately.
It's up and down, isn't it? Yep. The only horse that I found a little bit intriguing was Albedo. Third off of a layoff, had trouble out of the gate last time, like a 16th of a mile into the race, checked sharply, back to last.
Well,
made
he's
a
the horse
move.
that caused the incident. He's the horse that came out in the stretch that bothered the whole field. You're forgetting that part. This was the inquiry where they didn't take the horse down because they decided that it didn't affect the order of finish, and nobody on earth agrees with the stewards. Now, that doesn't make them wrong, because if everybody on Twitter thinks you're wrong, you're probably right. But, having said it, this was the horse that caused the incident. That doesn't mitigate the problem he had early, because he did have trouble in the race, but he is the horse that came out in the stretch that caused the chain reaction.
He did.
Right.
I just thought there was another move to improve with him.
Okay, listen, I'm not going to knock any horse in this race, race number 5. And this is a race where there are trips and there are trips. But when you look at the star of the race, where Highway Harmony, who just keeps losing no matter how much things go her own way, and she gets a little bit rank and runs off, and certainly could win here. But my gosh, I mean, considering the stumble on Wish List, and did save ground after that, but considering the way this race was run, I mean, if all things being equal, if she doesn't fall down at the start again, she's just supposed to win, Maggie.
I have a little bit of trouble with her.
Because she wasn't any good before that?
Yeah.
Maybe she's gotten better, because this was a very good, you got to admit, this was a really good effort.
And she took
obviously
money
won.
that day.
She was on the rail. All the running
Yeah.
was done by horse inside. She didn't angle out the stretch, but she was wider than anybody.
Yeah.
And she ran.
I mean, they were ready to get rid of her for 16 at Monmouth. Nobody wanted her. They said, here, try again. You can have her for 16. Nobody wanted her.
It is a little weird, right? No, that's fair. Right. In other words, is she really as good as her last race suggests? And that's fair. And the horse that you have on top, She is, I think, if you're trying to beat the 1 or 6 in here, she's sort of the only way you can go. We'll go back to a route race last year, and I know that it was a race where the pace held together completely. And to be fair, Super's Lucky Lay's been a little disappointing. Romero could not have given her better rides than he's given her, and she's just been disappointing. But maybe she wires the field today.
Yeah, that's why I saw it. And like 5.5 is very sharp. You know what I mean? She's just getting.
She didn't run terribly in those races.
No, exactly. And like you said, 2 back, she's supposed to be a little bit better. But I like her in this spot because I have my reservations about Wish List. Like you said, Highway Harmony. She doesn't seem to get the job done, though she could. But she's going to be a short price in here with Ira aboard for Hooray. So yeah. Then you got some new faces, like the drop downs, like Graham.
She's been so
back out.
bad.
I've
got her 4th. She's just been so bad. I mean, Christoph's got to drop her, right?
Yeah. But I wonder if Joelle would want that ride back.
I don't think Joel's.
No.
How much time do you think Joel spent worrying about whether he wants that ride back since then? Has he even really spent a lot of time thinking about whether he wants the silver skillet ride back from last time? Is she going to win at 1 1/8 on Thursday?
Yeah. There was just, if she's coming out of sprint races off a bit of a layoff, aren't you supposed to go forward with her? Like there was no intention whatsoever.
I thought she would be a little more forward. Now, to be fair. The pace collapsed in there, so not being forward probably didn't hurt her.
Really far back.
But she obviously was disinterested.
She went 8 wide around the turn.
I don't understand why a horse that is sprinting ends up farther back in a distance race than she's been in turf sprints.
Yeah.
And I do agree that Dylan's supposed to try to get at least some forward position. But the problem is she's not faster than the 6 and she's not faster than the 2. So what kind of position does she get in here?
Good stalk.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Listen, I've got her 4th. I see her. I see her as the only other one. There's just limited options in this race. We saw the same 4 in slightly different orders. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Maggie and I have been laughing about some things off
me.
camera here. Yeah, but laughing together at something funny you said the other day. We're back for race number 6, a mile and 16th on the turf. And Maggie, I don't know about you. If you go past the 11, and we'll take a look at Leon Blue, and I think a lot of people were happy to see a horse named for Leon Blushewitz, who was so popular with so many people, and she doesn't break. But after that, he's running like every step of the way. And I know this race kind of collapsed at the end, but given the break and given how easily he sort of got himself back into stride, thought he ran very well. And if he stretches out, he is a very likely winner this race, unless there's a hidden gem somewhere.
I didn't find any.
Name for Leon Blushewitz. I don't know. I don't know if I found a hidden gem. I'm guessing along. I just worry about these horses being super short prices when they stretch out. But 2-year-olds stretching out off a debut going short is not nearly the same as older horses that have been going short. This horse probably needed the first race.
He looked it. He was heavy, green, and huge. All those things to me say that was, and the fact that he ran like that say to me that he's going to be better in this spot here.
It's interesting because Melanie Givings has very logical horses in back-to-back races, probably the favorites in back-to-back races, and I think it's fair to say were her horses especially cranked up for Saratoga because she had a sensational meet up there.
Yeah.
And her horses really ran, and not just the ones that Sean rode, but a lot of them. And you do wonder a little bit if they're going to run as well as they come back here because both of these horses are way the horse to beat. I've got them second and on top. I just decided I didn't want to take. I don't think she's going to be 5-2 in here. How is she?
Oh yeah, Yeah,
I mean, there's a
I had
Chad
this
Brown
in
horse. I don't,
fifth.
do you know what? Do you know anything about this? I don't know anything about any of these horses. Do you know
I don't know
anything?
anything.
Okay.
Other than,
Go
no,
ahead.
wait, that's the next race. Just kidding.
Okay, Jack and Jim, the Slumber. I mean, I know the dam won on the turf in Europe, but she's really not much horse.
No.
And I'm a little skeptical. Daytona Moonshine, I don't know. The workout was okay, the 10 and a 5th workout.
Yes.
It's a smidgen of turf breeding, but
Not enough to get excited
I'm
about,
not
but I
excited
did
about
like
the
the work.
audibles. Do you love the audibles?
I did like the work though.
Okay.
I will
I
say
did too.
that.
For a work of 10 and a 5th, I thought it was a really good work.
The rider never moved.
Yep.
Really lovely extension to his stride. Is it gelding already? Interesting. Because he was really washed out in that workout though. So.
I think sometimes they're gelding them to try to get them to train better. I mean, you're looking through. There's some pedigree for the horse in the rail. King Moon Racer
Yep.
on the rail, but it's a Matoli trying to go a mile and 16.
And like this isn't Chris Engard's jam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he's got a little pedigree, but is it pedigree to go long? In fact, both of his horses, have some
do.
damn side pedigree. I'll tell you what, I haven't seen too many higher powers, and this is the first horse I think has ever run the turf for higher power.
No, he's had 3.
Oh, he has, okay.
But he ran well on the turf in 2 starts.
Remind me who he was. Was he Cox? I feel like he was one of those Gary and Mary West horses, but maybe I'm wrong.
I just looked at him, now I forget.
You can look in formulator.
I
and see.
know, but then I gotta keep talking.
Okay, pre-trial statement. It's a
That's
complete
a nice pedigree.
guess on my part. But this horse is a 1/2 to 3 to try the turf. They all won. 2 ran buyers in the 60s, which, by the way, would probably be competitive here. The other one ran buyers in the 90s. The dam was a multiple winner in the turf. She hit the board 12 or 20 times. She ran an 86 buyer, won $166,000. So there's plenty of turf pedigree. It's a Fog of War, who's certainly an influence for Phil Serpy. They'll probably take no money.
I was gonna say this, but I didn't want to be wrong. It's Sadler. Higher
Higher-
power.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mainly California.
Okay. He ran the turf?
Yeah, he ran twice on the turf, only an allowance, and second in a stake.
And
at
you've
Delmar.
got Sky Maston second. I guess you're going to try to wire the field with him.
Exactly.
Gary had a
Blinkers
good meet
on.
in Saratoga.
He really did. Obviously, this horse went to the turf. I thought ran okay last time too. So, as you said, just going to try to wire here on the turf. But I thought Phil's horse was most intriguing when it came to pedigree.
That's what I did, and I figured it'd be a price. I don't know anything
But
else
it
about
just felt like a pedigree that was going to get better as he got older. That's why I didn't.
It's fine.
You're
I mean,
gonna get a price.
right.
so
I'm
why
not making a big bet on this horse, and
Yeah.
I don't have any information. For all I know, this horse can't run at all anymore, or certainly isn't ready to run. But I know the horse has as much, if not more, pedigree than anybody. And I'm searching around, and I'm just not thrilled with anybody. And I don't want to just to sort of defer to Chad Brown's first-time starter, who's going to get bet just because of Chad, especially because he's an audible. And I want to
I'm
see the audibles
intrigued.
do more.
I'm intrigued to see what Linda's horse goes off. A Justify,
Just Licorice?
New York bred Justify.
There's no turf
There's
pedigree
no
on the
turf
damn
pedigree.
side
They're
except for
synthetic.
Justify and Scott Daddy.
Right. I'll be real. That's the horse I want to see if it takes money or not.
Do you wonder if this could be a Linda horse getting a race under its belt to run in dirt next time out as well?
That, exactly.
See what happens in race number 6. Now we're talking about Melanie Gibbons, and I mean, Gibbons, if you had bet this horse last time, I hadn't realized, and I only saw this horse was entered yesterday at the AEs. You weren't here yesterday, so I'd already seen. But I mean, this horse ran incredibly well in this race, and we'll take a look at hit the
Did
post race.
everything wrong too.
I mean, this race division was 4/5 second faster than the other division. Doesn't break
slow.
that slowly. He's just a bit
Well,
sluggish out of the
slow.
gate, sort of, and sort of ducked in just a little bit.
Had to stand there for a while.
But I mean, is able to very easily get
He's-
up into
he's running
there.
off.
Right,
He's running off.
And Dylan,
Louis Rivera's probably like, oh crap. Now it gets even
it's
hairier.
Louis, not Dylan, right?
It gets even hairier once he gets a little bit of a seam there to go through there. He says, okay, go. And then he's like, oh, you want me to go? So he's going to, by the 3/8 pole, be on the lead.
It's kind of amazing what happened to get him in this position. And this was a race that ultimately collapsed. And I had thought, and I didn't change that, the 3Bs who I had liked ran very well because it was
You and I
engaged in the
love
pace.
3Bs. And then.
And I thought I was unlucky because I got lugged run down by Kenny's horse, who got a very, very good trip behind him. And then I watched the replay of the race and said, you didn't get unlucky here. The horse that got unlucky was the one hit the post who should have won.
Yeah. And this is what brings me to the.
And this is 7, by the way.
I've got something about a first-time starter here, and Oh wait, no. Yes. Okay. Daytona Gold.
Well,
Kenny's horse.
I have the workout. We'll show it after this.
Okay.
And
'Cause
also
he
the other
was working with Mo Better Than Good, Daytona Gold, and I said to Kenny,
Oh.
and like I hadn't. This was
Which one's the better one?
Closing weekend was a little bit rough for me, and I hadn't scratched his horse, and I said, "Oh, if this one won, then you must really love the other one." And he's like, "No, he's scratched." I was like, "Oh," he's like, had a cut or something, and I was like, "Well, isn't this horse better?"
This is some workout.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, Mo Better Than Good's better." And I was like, "That's not what I saw," but okay. This thing's rapid.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the other one's better and the one runs the race today, this horse can't beat the one because the one was better than Kenny's other horse last time. I know
Agreed.
lost by almost 4 lengths, but given the trips and the respective dynamics of the race, this horse ran very well. Now, the other thing is, and by the way, good luck to getting 9-2 and hit the post.
He has the other Mel Giddings horse shorter, the first-time starter.
Because Irad's riding.
I totally get it. And this is a half sibling to fade to gray. We have siblings running on the card. The big Todd Pletcher horse.
Oh, in
against
the first,
Sedona.
yes, I have it
Yeah.
written down as
Right.
Right, I knew it when I was handicapping,
Yeah,
and I've forgotten in the last 15 minutes.
Happens all the time.
Because I'm getting old. Maybe Irad's a shorter price. I don't see the way trip horses get bet these days. I don't see any way the one is a particularly short price and has to be a big price. This one's going to be shorter than Skytown. I mean, it's not even close to me. I've got Kenny's horse second. You're a little reticent because Kenny cold watered you. Just kidding, Kenny.
I'm sure he's watching.
Well, does he know that we are going to make fun of him if this horse wins, this horse runs off? I am definitely going to make fun of him.
Yeah, I know. I thought well, you mentioned Skytown. I thought he ran okay last time.
He did.
And
I
obviously
agree.
we'll see how Sacrosanct runs in the stake earlier to get a better gauge on where he stacks up in this race, but yeah.
I have nothing else to say in this race.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what Romeo Void is, but I'm going to
Right.
go with the one that she's run, but maybe the first is better. I thought the 8th race was what, you want to say something else?
Oh, I was just going to say, Romeo Void's been down here, though, preparing. And it's not like Mel's in Saratoga.
I'm guessing
Not that her assistant
I'm guessing
is
that last
incapable.
work was good. I don't know if Dave was able to watch that, but I'm wondering if that's
No,
why.
you
maybe
can't
she-
watch Belmont work.
Oh, they're not.
I mean, maybe he was here live.
No, I don't think so.
No, Aragona wasn't. Grenig, maybe.
Oh, I meant Aragona.
No, I know.
Grenig was
I
there
know you
live.
did.
Grenig was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
live, in all likelihood. So race number 8, I thought the 8th was a really interesting race. And, I mean, I do think we should start by talking about the 7 Feather Boa. Because apparently...
Please tell me.
Well, a friend of mine who looks at apparently thoroughgraph figs for South Africa told me
Who
the
does
figs
those?
overlays the field.
Yeah, I mean...
They are route figs.
Right.
So she's got to come back and go 6 furlongs today. And I don't know, I'm not knocking, I don't have any opinion one way or the other of the
other?
figs. I'm going to have to bring them here. It just feels like this horse with Irad riding and all that kind of form is going to be a very short price. And she has 9 seconds in 17 starts, which I don't love, especially given how many short prices she's been in races. So, yeah, I get it. I just didn't want to pick her on top. You've got her 4th, I've got her 3rd, but she might just be better than these horses.
Absolutely. And there's a Team Valor Todd Pletcher horse who is completely escaping my brain, but almost a similar scenario in that she came from somewhere bizarre, was a route horse there,
I know
and then
you're talking
Todd
about-
turned her back.
Yeah, and she
And
won.
was okay.
And she won,
Yeah,
I think. Did she
yeah.
win at Saratoga? Yeah. I'm thinking.
Huge
When I
mare.
think of South African horses, I think of this a little before your time is Hippie Tomby. And I think I saw her.
Well,
no, she won at Churchill her once.
Grand Motion has a nice, I can't pronounce that horse's name, is a Gaza blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But
Good,
a nice,
it was a good pronunciation. I think that. I hope people. Maybe we should show the replay of that.
It was, but no, he has a nice one there too.
Ever So Sweet might be the horse to beat. We both have her
Pretty
second.
sweet.
We'll take a look at her win 2 back. And I think she was with the track 2 back. I thought that there was a speed edge to the course. And I say one thing about her, and she is controlling speed and she's the horse to beat. I know they were better horses last time. I didn't like that stumble. I don't know. I didn't think it was, I thought it was extremely minor. I don't think it really affected things. I didn't like her last race. Better horses, but I didn't like that race.
I hear you. 100%. Is she a horse that doesn't really like Saratoga? I don't know.
She ran very well in her debut.
She did. I don't know. I feel like she doesn't really. She's quite high strung. She might not handle it well. I don't know.
She's the horse to beat from the standpoint of being in front and there. How good is she?
She's a 3-year-old. She's a 3-year-old, and yeah, she's run kind of competitive figures. But I just find that these horses, you know, that have won, they're older, that have won more races, often beat those types.
Yeah, and also that 88 Fig, I think, is a bit dressed up, but I'm dying because you've got a big priced horse on top of
You
here.
know, it just felt like a race where I needed to kind of.
Well, that's what I did too. I did the same thing. I went in a very different direction, but I did the same thing.
Glitter Up has been running against better horses. Especially last time. She had a little bit of trouble at the start. I know she was dreadful. She had absolutely nothing, but she ran like a horse that needs Lasix. So she gets to go back on it today and against inferior horses. And she, you know, she just has some of that back form to lean upon here.
Don't you worry though that she ends up chasing towards the outside,
Sure.
kind of with
I was
Ever So
literally
Sweet?
just about to say
That's my
that.
concern. Is that her running style doesn't fit this race that well.
Right, to be successful. But we'll say, like I said, she's going to be a price, and I thought there were some things to like about her. And as we've mentioned, poking holes in the two favorites.
I think this is a race where there are question marks, and you know, and the other horse that's going to take money is Union Dolly, who last time was the time for her.
I mean, the Dylan Saratoga
this
highlight
was the day.
reel.
Well, this was the day where where I think
You lost it, right? Yeah.
I think some people were out of town, and he got all these mounts, but he won race with great rides all day long, including that last race for Todd. I mean, this was an absolutely
beautiful.
perfect ride, but it was also a fast-paced race that completely and
Saved
totally
every inch of ground
incinerated.
and tipped
So
out.
this was a great win for her, but you know, circumstances really had a lot to do with it, and I don't know that she's going to get them today. So
And don't you find, and look,
She's
her
such a last time
sprint
as time
races
horse.
are good. And
Yep.
I'm not going to deny the fact that she probably should have been sprinting the whole time.
Ray.
But don't you find that sometimes that element of surprise with the horse, the first time they do it,
Yep.
that's when you get
I
the big
agree.
performance?
I agree. And I just feel like you missed the opportunity last time. So I was looking at horses I could take a shot with. And one of them is the 3 off ramp for Joe Sharp, who I thought was a little bit interesting. But I don't know if ultimately if she has races that are good enough. So I
Right.
started looking at Isabel Alexander, who I may be just completely off base with.
looked at her.
But her races last year,
Yep.
first one in Indiana, then the Galway when she ran a very good third that day, and then she ran a respectable race at Keeneland, after that. Those races were all good enough to give her a chance to be competitive here. So she went to Gulfstream Park in those 5 furlong turf races, and she sucked. There's no doubt about it. She was awful.
A lot of horses do.
But I don't
In
know if I
those.
really want to condemn her completely off a bunch of 5 furlong races down on the Gulfstream Park turf course. He's given her time. He's taken his time to bring her back, and if she can get back to those good races from last year, I think she has a chance to get a piece of this at a big price. So she was where I went to take a shot. I don't trust her at all, and I can understand people going, I just don't want her off those Gulfstream races, and that's fine. But she was my alternative because, like you, I think the favorites, the 5 and 7, may run 1-2, but I don't want to bet them.
No. Yeah.
All right, we're good?
Yeah. I don't know.
Race number 9. Race number 9 is actually kind of a fun race, and I want to start by showing the replay of the horse that you have on top, Roagna, as well as Starts Now. And one of the connections to Starts Now had complained to me about the trip on Starts Now at first, and I watched it and I thought, no, I think he's right. This horse, when you watch a few more times, there's a moment's hesitation. I think is it Manny looks over on the horse in green, is it? Or somebody looks over at some point in here. Maybe it's somebody else. And I think, no, it's another, there's a lot of different things going on, and I feel like I thought Eric gave her a very good ride. I think he was a bit unlucky, but I think he kind of lost his position as she was trying to rally, and I think it cost her. So I think she'll run well, but like you, I prefer Roagna of the 2.
Yeah, I think Ragna's just kind of been getting better and better. It's kind of funny because she got 2 very different trips in both of her Saratoga efforts, and it was almost like Javier said, you know what, this is more of a 1-run horse after that first race.
I agree.
And he executed that beautifully last time, and she had to do all of her running in and amongst horses, kind of, you know, weaving out through the lane, but really ran well.
No, I agree with all of that. My problem is with the lack of pace in this race.
I know.
And last race she was in was conducive to closers.
Sure.
Now, maybe that'll happen here, but the horse that you and I have second here, Red Burgundy.
I wanted like insurance plan. I wanted the speed and then.
Ricardo's riding very well here. I'm glad to see him here. He had a great day yesterday, but
Yeah.
he's riding well. He's not getting lucky to win. He's doing the right things,
Yeah.
and that horse could as a real threat to wire the field.
Absolutely, and I thought she ran pretty well. And it was funny. I remember I did an ambush with Horacio DePazzi, sent out 4 in that Susie O'Kane, obviously Awesome Check being the best. And I asked him, I was like, Red Burgundy, she was coming off a layout, so she was fresh. She got to set that pace, but Awesome Check. And he just started talking about Red Burgundy. I was like, I'm asking you about the winner, Horacio.
Well, he's a little bit dense,
But I thought, gleaning from what he said, he was happy with the effort, and that kind of said, she probably needs a start.
Well,
to
that
get
was a
going.
good start for her to start her year. I mean, maybe I
Absolutely.
should have put her on top.
Yeah.
We're going to give Summer Whirl a bit of another chance.
Right.
I don't know.
This is a far outside.
She got a far outside post, and she's gotten very good trips when she's run well. So I'm
Right.
a little bit suspect of her. I'm going to give my horse Boxed Wine one more chance, and we'll show the race 2 back. And I think if you get the race 2 back, she ran well enough to win. Now I'm going to be very clear. She was pathetic last time.
She was one pace.
Pathetic. Kendrick
Yeah.
gave her a very good ride
Yeah.
in there, and she had absolutely nothing.
But
So
her-
if she runs back to this race, I feel
was
like she
very
can
good.
win.
Yeah.
But if she runs her last race, she has no chance. She's just a horse I lost some money on that I want to give her one more chance. I don't love her.
chasing a little
I am chasing. I definitely am chasing, and I'm going to use the 9 and 10 in here, and I'm going to use a 4 Roagna, and I can even use starts now. It depends, where I go. I mean, if I don't know, if I was paying pick 5s, I'd want to have all 4 of them in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Fun card.
Yeah, it is a
Great.
fun card. I agree.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. We'll start with the stake races. We're
How about
currently.
how about next yesterday?
Okay, let's talk a little next.
All right.
Next is super cool. I get it.
Yeah. I know.
I'm
You
a-
and David
No,
wanted to run
I'm-
against tougher company.
I've been a big fan, and I get it. And listen, maybe if he was mine, I just keep going to the ATM. So
Yeah.
maybe I just be like, but I really had thought, if you look at the Jockey Club Gold Cup in retrospect, you really tell me he wouldn't have had a good chance to be effective in there? I ain't complaining. I
I
did
gotta
well
look
in
at the
that race.
internal fractions
Well,
on that race.
they were quick, but he doesn't need to lead. He can sit third.
No,
you
he
think they would have
doesn't.
just gotten too far away from him?
As Doug Cowens has said to me, he gets a bit. He wants to be on the pace, right? And if they go out in front of him, he's going to be really, headstrong to get to that pace, and therefore he's going to
Spend his energy and not be able to
exactly.
finish.
And it's about getting him into a rhythm, so therefore holding him together early on. And obviously he doesn't need to be off the bridle late.
Well,
either.
another race I'm glad he didn't run in because it couldn't have helped me was the Sword Dancer. But are we so sure he couldn't have wired the field in the Sword Dancer the way it was run?
Absolutely.
Because he is a horse that can run on the turf.
They are going to the turf.
They are. Where are they running them?
Breeders' Cup.
Breeders' Cup turf.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's a mile and a half.
He'll be the speed. Really?
I mean,
I wonder
he
what
said
Euros
he
are
wasn't
coming.
even 100% that they're even going to go to the Breeders' Cup.
So they're not going.
I would say.
Well, is he nominated? It may
50,
cost them a lot of money to
50.
run.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't pay a lot of money to run in there if I were them.
Yeah.
Is there still a turf, a marathon race out there? He
No,
didn't-
they got rid of it because the juvenile turf often oversubscribed, so they wanted to be like, here, Europeans,
Oh, I
you
gotcha.
can run in this race instead.
Okay.
Where is he? No, he's Breeders' Cup nominated.
He is,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, it would be a fun story if he runs, and I'm not sure there are any tigers on the American turf side that he's supposed to be that afraid of. I mean, I guess
Except Farbridge.
what Euro's going to come. Listen, I love Farbridge. I've always liked Farbridge. It's not like
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Is Economics coming here? The horse that won the Irish champion?
Oh man, I don't know. I got to get my head back in the.
I mean,
European
City of Troy's
game.
obviously running against the
The
boys.
classic.
Can't wait to bet against
classic.
him.
Yeah.
Foaming at the mouth. I got more. I'm gonna have to bet against everybody.
Do
in the
you
race.
think? What price is he?
5-2 most.
Really?
He's 3-1 right now in Europe already. But
freaking
Europe's saying they tend to
insane.
overrate. That's the thing I'm saying. I mean, it's every idiot's going to believe this. And I'm going to tell you right now, you know what the story is going to be in Del Mar. The Japanese horses. That's going to be the story. But right now, I can't disagree with people that want to bet on Forever Young. because I think there is a strong argument that he ran the best race in the Derby.
100%.
But I'll tell you the horse that's going to be forgotten about. Now, Del Mar's got to be playing fairly for this horse to have a chance, and hopefully it'll be fair for the Breeders' Cup. Sierra Leone, because he's at least finally going to get a pace to run at in this race.
Yeah.
And he's going to be finally a little bit forgotten and not be overbet by everybody.
Yeah.
So he could be dangerous in there
Yeah.
as well. But I don't
know. I feel like the Classic is a race where you want to try to bet against the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, and who are the older horses we're supposed to be enamored with?
Nobody.
Right, at this point, you know.
Unless like Highland Falls suddenly gets really, really good.
He ran terrific in the Gold
He
Cup.
did.
We'll see. Breeders' Cup coming up. It's amazing. It's coming up in like 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 weeks from
Yep.
this weekend. All right, head over to Naira Bets. We're done. Use the promo code MATCH200. I don't know. I'm done, Maggie.
Yeah, my brain hurts. I need a little more caffeine in my life.
Oh, next ran the Breeders' Cup Juveniles, a 2-year. That's right. I knew
That's
we
right,
did
with
for
Wesley. Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
So long. David just texted me. This is a long, long time ago.
Yeah, feels
in
like
a different
forever ago.
land, in a different place. Wesley must love watching him run.
We all have that horse,
Wesley,
Andy.
you were never stretching him out to 1.5 miles.
No, I can't say that.
It just, I mean, it's just, well, it's also, for them, you wonder what the trajectory of his career would have been if he hadn't been rained off that day in the Cape Henlopen,
I know.
right? I mean, you just don't really
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Match 200. We've also got track trends as well to check out. And we have a 20% bonus on all exacta wagers here as well. And we're on from 1 to 448 on FS2. 5 probably on YouTube and elsewhere.
Naira Bets.
Chris Griffin's up next. Reprise, scratch, and changes. Have a great day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.